There are a number of important questions that fathers ask in relation to communication with their children. Within this video, I'm going to cover three of those important questions. That first question is, what do I send in that letter or that text message or an email to my son or my daughter? Number two is, how often do I send those messages? And number three is, what do I do if my son or daughter has blocked me or I don't even know where my children live? This video is going to be sharing some insights from children that are grown adults and how their father communicated with them, along with many fathers that I've spoken with and worked with, and my own journey in communicating with my two sons. What do you send to your son or your daughter? This may feel a little bit like a black hole, where if you send this long letter or email, it can easily be misinterpreted of what you're intending to say there. Or if you send something too short, maybe the mother might say to the child, oh, your dad doesn't care for you. That's all that he sent to you. I'd like to share with you an insight here from an alienated child who's a grown adult who, when he received a letter from his father, and it was this 3 or 4 page letter, he ended up crumpling it up and throwing it in the bin in support of the mother, saying, I don't want a letter from my father. That child then woke up in the middle of the night and tried to read that letter. And you imagine this could be a very difficult situation that child was placed in reading that long letter. If it was just 1 or 2 lines, it's something that the child would easily be able to read. And if it's kept very short and simple to, I love you, I can't wait to see you in the future, and the door is always open. That key phrase is really important, where the children hold some guilt potentially here, where they've been rejecting you, blocking you, saying they don't want to see you, and they might feel that you're angry with them. That single line can allow them to realize that door is always open. So the other aspect here is when you send that long letter, they don't have the mental capacity to be able to understand if you're going to try and explain what parental alienation is or what's unfolding here or your side of the story. It is a very heavy thing for them to be able to wrap their mind around, and they might feel defensive about their mother, and that can actually cause a bit of a rift or a further rift between you and your child. So my recommendation with this communication is keep it short, keep it very simple, and that most important message there is that door is always open. How often should you communicate with your children? Many fathers in the early stages of this are sending text messages every day, sometimes one in the morning and at nighttime. In a high conflict situation or where there is extreme parental alienation, that child can get caught in the middle in that type of situation where if you're sending text messages on such a regular basis, it's often going to overlap with their mother being present. And as the child's reading that message or receiving it, they might look up and see the mother's look of disappointment that that child is happy to receive the text message from you. Or they might hear the mother saying, oh, what is your dad saying now? That often results in the child ignoring your messages or end up blocking you. So what I'd recommend here is rather, instead of sending on such a regular basis, rather spread those messages out. Now, this is obviously dependent on what kind of situation you are in with your children, on what they're saying, or I don't want to really hear from you, Dad, or saying, don't text me, or they might just be ignoring your messages. But the recommendation here, if you are in this early stage, is to rather send those messages every couple of days. It's okay every 7th day, maybe, or 8 days, to vary it up, or maybe every 2 weeks in a more difficult situation. In those more extreme situations where you've been completely blocked from text messages, this is where sending a birthday card or Christmas card, hoping that those messages are going to go through. The important part here to remember, and again, insights from many alienated children have shared, it wasn't how often my father communicated with me, it was that I knew he didn't forget about me. And you got to get this through however you can, but be smart and adapt how often you send those messages based on how your children are responding. This is where some resilience needs to take place. If you don't get any reply back from your child, very likely your child is getting caught in the middle here. Don't give up and just think, oh, my child doesn't want to hear from me. Keep sending those messages or that text message or that occasional letter It's more that you get that communication through to your child, if you can get it through to them, than how often you send it to them. That is one of the repeating messages, is keep trying to communicate with your child whenever you can, and don't give up with that. That's one very, very important message in this. Now, what do you do in those extreme situations where your child has blocked you, or maybe you don't even know where they live? Here are some insights from fathers that reunited with their children, and also those alienated children that reunited or found their father. Here is an option for you to be able to explore. Again, there's no perfect way of navigating this. These are just ideas on how to navigate this. What some fathers have ended up doing here is create a YouTube channel. On that YouTube channel, only post positive things about your life. This might be a hike, this might be some volunteering that you're doing, aspects of your life. Some fathers also can use a social media channel, Instagram, where it's a public channel. But the really important part here is that you share only positive things about your life. Never say anything negative about their mother within that channel. Only share your life. That child, if they do a search, and this is where by tagging your name as the title for that YouTube video or that Instagram, allows for your child to be able to search and find you, and to be able to get a bit of a glimpse of who are you, as opposed to the stories that have been told about you. So include in that all the positive aspects that you're doing in your life. It's not this world trip that you want to post on there, because that can be used against you. Simple things that can be included. It might be making a fire, going hiking in the mountains, or whatever it is you decide. Some fathers, there's one father that shares his drumming and what he does drumming, and the progress that he's making in learning to become a better drummer, and maybe a speed punching bag. Each of these aspects just gives a bit of a glimpse into your life and becomes a channel for you to be able to reunite, or for your child to be able to reach out to you in those extreme situations where your communication with them has completely stopped. For me, this is how I ended up reuniting with my two sons. My oldest son, I hadn't seen him, or both of my sons, for over 3 years. And he had reached out to me through Instagram. He had sent me this message. Hi, Dad. You know, I always wanted to become a professional motocross rider. I can see you doing pretty well for yourself. Is there any way that you'd be able to help me buy a motorbike? I promise you I'll pay you back. And I don't know why, Dad, but I stay awake till 5 o'clock in the morning crying because I miss you so much. And that's how we ended up reuniting. It was through this very positive social media channel that I had created, just showing my life, only positive things on that channel. Previous to that, I had created a YouTube channel, but I tagged my sons' names, and that wasn't the best thing. It was these videos of how much I miss them, and their birthday and their Christmas time, sending those messages to them, or when I did some volunteering working at a refugee camp, building houses there. A lot of that ended up getting used against me, and unfortunately, he ended up getting found by, or his kids, these bullies at school, found that YouTube channel and ended up using that against him. So I ended up taking that down. So that's where, rather, instead of tagging their name, you tag your own name and only share positive aspects of your life. I'll see you in the next video.